Portland has achieved its first 100-degree day this summer with a high of 102 degrees yesterday. I'm expecting another one today, so this is going to be my weekend update on this major late summer heat wave for the Willamette Valley and a beyond the 7-day look at models. Also, will the South Valley be a little bit warmer today because some locations down there were able to dodge the century mark? Let's find out. First off, the National Weather Service's watches and warnings, the timings have changed for certain zones. And there is also now a heat advisory up for now the high coast range and the high Cascades as well. So if you are in the lowlands, the extreme heat warning goes until Tuesday at 11 o'clock. If you are in the mountains or if you're traveling up north towards the Puget Sound, that expires Tuesday at 5 a.m. And if you are traveling east to the Columbia Basin, that expires Wednesday at 9 p.m. There's also one other thing I want to touch on before I get into the 7-day outlook, and that is the chance for what is referring to as convective debris or very small thunderstorms that could pop up over the south central Oregon Cascades. Now, some high resolution models do have cloud cover from these pop up thunderstorms getting into the Willamette Valley. I'm not as bullish as the models are showing on this. I think that's pretty much going to be restrictive to the Cascades proper and particularly south of Marion County. So I have four models listed here, four high resolution models. The Canadian high resolution model on the top left, the HRRR model on the top right, the UW high resolution model in the bottom left, and the North American model, the 3 kilometer version at the bottom right. All four at least show some cells popping up in the south central Oregon Cascades. This is all for 5 o'clock on Sunday, with the exception of the NAM, which is 10 o'clock on Sunday, as it is showing a little bit of a slower progression. The other thing to note with this is that I'm not super convinced there's going to be precipitation going to the surface. Humidity is very dry out there, so it could be a case where there's a lot of precipitation up above and it either evaporates going to the surface or it's just a completely dry thunderstorm if one forms. That would not be good news for fire season out there. I know there is a fire burning near the Warm Springs Reservation right now, though thankfully, because this looks to be south of the Warm Springs Reservation, I don't think that another fire is going to be starting near there, at least right now. Thunderstorms are notorious. For now, though, let's move on to our 7-day outlook, starting with the South Willamette Valley. I do anticipate high temperatures will maintain right around 100 degrees. Is pretty much whatever you got yesterday, I'm expecting today. So using 101 as a baseline average here. Tomorrow, I'm anticipating a little bit cooler, right around 97 degrees. Is with about the same temperatures on Monday and a touch cooler on Tuesday before cooling off a little bit more closer to normal as we get later into next week. Low temperatures will start in the mid 60s, but will slowly cool as we go into the week and approaching next weekend, with currently only high clouds forecasted. For the Portland area, I'm anticipating a high temperature of 103 degrees today, with temperatures cooling off slightly as we go into tomorrow, and on Monday, a little notch cooler beyond that. Tuesday, another notch cooler. Wednesday, somewhat comfortable, and then Thursday, Friday, back to comfortability with the overnight low temperatures starting in the upper 60s, but then finally cooling off back closer to normal. I will note that with Sunday's high temperature, the models that are showing more convective debris getting across the Cascades is showing a lower high temperature, while the models that are not showing as much getting across the Cascades are showing in higher high temperature. So 100 degrees is not out of the question, but also can only be 94, 95. 99 is my current best estimate, but again, we'll see how this looks tomorrow. Speaking of models, I'm going to go over to a model page, Pivotal Weather, to show you what it looks like over the next week or so, because there's a few things I'm watching out of it. So first off, I'm going to start with where is the possible moisture coming from with the convective debris. That is monsoonal moisture coming up from the eastern Pacific and east of the Sierra Nevada. That potential precipitation is why at least this model, which is the European AI model, is showing below average conditions for the Great Basin. But the moment you get into northern Oregon or western Oregon, those flip to above average conditions. So let's flip this into our 500 millibar height anomaly, and you could better see the ridge here extend far into British Columbia. At the surface, there are two high pressure systems situated, and let me move this back to Sunday's time frame. As the ridge retreats a little bit to the north, which allows that monsoonal moisture to get in, there's a surface level high pressure just to the west of the Sierra Nevada, and there's also surface level high pressure near the Rocky Mountains that's essentially funneling the moisture to the north, but starts to run out of gas once it hits Oregon. It's the secondary reason why I don't think there's enough energy for it to get across the Cascades. As we move this into the week and into next weekend, that ridge is pretty stubborn to start, but going into Thursday, eh, this is Thursday at 5 p.m., we can see some troughs finally coming down, and then Friday, we do have two troughs, one stronger trough to the west and a weaker trough to the east. Both of these I am watching pretty closely because while the European AI model has this, if I go over to the European model here, it doesn't have the trough getting it nearly as close to the coast. Still has us in above average heights, which would keep us high and dry instead. I personally prefer to use ensembles because the European AI model and the Euro run are just one model. The ensembles are 50 runs for the European model or 30 for the American GFS model. So if I move this into the same time frame we're looking at, which is Friday afternoon into the evening, for that potential trough, it is also showing high and dry for the European ensembles, and then for the American ensembles, it is showing that that trough does get a little bit closer to the coast, but still right on that boundary line. So a little bit something to watch. The way that trough is positioned, the fact that it is not moving in, might lend to a thunderstorm setup if the AI model is correct. I did not put that in the 7-day forecast right now because the chances are currently very low, and I don't usually rely on just one model this far out. So that is going to be it for this video. I will talk to you all tomorrow. So until then, stay cool out there and take care.